Do you want to make a card that's good enough to eat? Hi, I'm Jess from JessCrafts.com, and I'm here to help you make the most of your crafty supplies and time. So let's get making. You're not going to eat today's whole card, of course, but I did incorporate a fun treat element on it that I think works particularly well in springtime. There are a lot of like egg-shaped candies that'd be perfect for this, but I chose the Lindt Bugs and Bees because they were a little less specifically Easter, and that way I could gift them to anyone regardless of whether they celebrate. But with anytime you're incorporating food, also do consider how food allergies would affect things. Like this one has tree nuts and wheat and soy and all kinds of stuff in it. So, you know, that's always something you want to keep in mind with your audience as well. Okay, so I am going to have there's a fun little surprise in this card, but I'll hold off on that for a moment. We're going to start by cutting some foliage from the Delicate Leaves Scrapbook.com dies, and I cut them out of 3 colors of green cardstock. You can, of course, just pick whatever cardstock in your collection. I went to my Floral paper pad because there's a lot of greens already in it, and so it saved me a bunch of time, and I can just cut out 3 different dies from the Delicate Leaves, and that's why it's also nice to have like just kind of a collection of foliage or something like that, because you can then just use a whole bunch of them and not have to die cut as much. One pass through the machine is going to get me 3, which is enough for one card, but then I mixed up the colors because I cut a few of them. And I'm going to make a couple of cards today. I have my Scrapbook.com and Spellbinders exclusive Platinum 6, which is black. And I just personally really love that. And I'm going to use my Magic Mat as well. I found particularly when I started working with my Platinum 6 that the Magic Mat gave me really nice cuts. And like the Spellbinders regular mats, great cuts as well, but if you have like a little extra detail, that little bit of give in the Magic Mat is really nice. And I use my mint tape to tape it down, and then I'll get all these delicate leaves, which I will put in a bowl on my desk so that I'm not losing any of my die cut pieces. This is like a shallow soap dish from the Dollar Tree, but lots of different shallow bowls out there would work perfect. And then eventually I'm going to be incorporating this yellow sunshine paper from the Sunny Lanes collection at scrapbook.com. And when I have a really pretty paper like this, but I'm going to be covering some of it, I don't want to be wasteful. So what I did is I took the nested arches, I believe it's called, and I'm going to cut one of them out of the center. So that way I have all of these arch pieces left over and ready to use on another project. Because I have this very specific design that sort of makes sense to be centered, I'm going to be a little bit more careful about how I place this nested arch, but you use literally like whatever die you have in your collection that's just a little bit smaller than the piece of paper you're going to use on top. So I have a 3x4 piece of blue paper that I am using, or cardstock, and so I just found one of the nested arches that was a little bit smaller than that, and I cut that out of the center. When determining what size to cut the center paper, I kind of thought about no scraps, which won't be any surprise to anyone because that is what I love to do. I don't like having a bunch of scraps left over, so I cut them to 3x4 because I had a 6x8 piece of cardstock, and so I could get 4 evenly cut out of that. And because I need to cut 5 in all, I do have these pieces left. They're pretty substantial sized pieces, and one piece was used completely. And that's the Playful Cardstock in the 6x8. As you can see, I'm a big fan of the Scrapbook.com cardstock just because it kind of all just seems to really go well together. And then one of the sort of inspirations behind this card was the Smile and Wishes stamp set. It's a fun stamp set, but when I saw all these curved shapes, I thought, oh, that's pretty specific. Like it kind of only curves around these circles because you make like smiley faces with them and then it goes around them. But I was like, there's got to be other ways to use it. And when I picked these up, I was like, oh, they're perfect for just like any round or egg candy. So if, you know, it's not the Easter season when you're doing this, or you can't find the like oval shaped or egg shaped candy, I also think it would work really, really well with any like just circle shaped candy. Like I'm thinking maybe a Reese's peanut butter cup or something like that. Or like, I think there's like Dove chocolates that are sort of a circly shape, and just curving that sentiment around them. Now you can curve any sentiment you have in your collection. These ones just happen to be curved naturally, and so they kind of work out particularly well for this. And to me, it was a way of stretching the stamp set a little bit more. So I stamped Sending You Sunshine in some blue ink. It incorporates this sunshiny background, and I like to do tone-on-tone stamping. I'm not a big fan of stamping in black very often, although in this case it would work because there is black on my bugs. But when you take the bug off the card, oh, that's the surprise. I'll show you that in just a second. We are actually going to take the bugs off the card. So then I have my leaves all cut out. I need to get one more piece of foliage. I'm making sure to mix it up. So if I used the like there's these kind of fern pieces. I don't know enough about foliage. I'm just going to sound silly if I try to say it. I'm just picking the one I haven't used yet. And then with a delicate die cut like this, you can use glue, or you can have put tape behind it if that works better for you. So like you have full sheet adhesive at scrapbook.com or Ken Oliver. I really like the Ken Oliver one for very, very delicate die cut. It just seems to be a little bit thinner, so it cuts through them well. And glue, though, of course, also works perfectly. But if you find that like when you're using glue, you have a tendency to sort of bend or rip your die cut pieces, that's something to factor in. Okay, so looks like I'm really, really close to done. But as I said, there's a secret surprise. So I cut a butterfly from another scrapbook.com die set. What I recommend here is to find any small thing that makes sense here. A flower, a butterfly, a different kind of bug that is smaller than your piece of candy. And that's why I pulled out these butterflies, because I knew there was like pretty tiny butterflies in them. And I took the die. I actually used the physical die when I did it. And I saw, okay, I can completely cover this butterfly with my candy. So that's what made me pick this particular one. But again, choose any die in your collection that has a sort of similar function. And then I'm going to glue it down. And this way, my card, even once I remove the ladybug, will still look like a complete and beautiful card ready to display. Honestly, even without the butterfly, just having those green kind of coming into the circle, I think also looks great. But it's sort of a fun surprise that you're not going to like ruin the card by taking off your treat. And so once I have that glued down, I'm going to attach my candy with glue dots that are removable. I haven't tested a lot of other removable adhesive, but because I'm someone who I just really like making little treats like this for people, and I gift them to friends and colleagues, etc., I've used this removable adhesive over the years and have been very happy with the glue dot one. And then I can place my ladybug down over it. Now you can choose whether you want your ladybug's head up or down, depending on how it kind of looks cute to you. But also, again, these are a little bit on the pricier side because they're fancy Lindt chocolates. You could totally get like, I think a lot of the egg-shaped candies flat packed. I think Reese's are, for example. Obviously, I'm a Reese's girl because I've mentioned it like twice already in this video. Let me know in the comments what chocolate or candy or treat you would use for this idea. Maybe you're finding this idea in December and so you're using something completely different. But I think this is, yeah, a great all-around year idea. So we'll adhere that down. This paper, this sunshine paper, is the exact same size as the card. So I just glued it to a card front. And that is complete. You don't want to mess with it too much because that adhesive will stick for a while, but it is not the strongest because it's removable. And then of course these are ones you're going to have to hand deliver. If you found this video helpful, here's another video where you can find more ideas for enjoying your crafty time and supplies. Let me know you like this video with a share to your crafty community. Subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the next template or tutorial, and check the video description for product links. See you in the next video.